Hey everybody, it's Thursday, December 28th, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 2017. What you're looking at are some very low water levels of the Mississippi River near Caruthersville, Missouri. This image was taken back in October of this year. The river has since kind of gone up a little bit. Now it's retreated again in some places. Now it's going back up again, but overall it's still fairly low. This is an extreme example of a very low river where sandbars basically kind of appeared in just a matter of a couple of days in some places. Something is going on in Lower Manhattan, New York, and this time the mayor is wanting answers. I don't know if you remember back in November, I did a video about a ferry that got stuck in Lower Manhattan on a sandbar. And you didn't think, okay, it's not that big of a deal. It can happen. Human error. We get that. And it's true. It can happen. Okay. But here's the thing. It's happened again. This time, last night, passengers were stuck on there for hours. They had to be retrieved. This thing was on such dry ground that they could only get a very small boat. And that's according to one of these passengers here, as quoted as saying, crews shuttled people to the 343. That's a large boat that is operated by the fire department. The only boat they could remove remotely close enough to the ferry can only fit 2 people at a time. Passengers had to get on a ladder, climb down into a tiny boat, then get shuttled to a larger boat because the ferry was so far up on a sandbar all of a sudden. So here's what the mayor says. Now, this was last night in Lower Manhattan. Keep in mind, this happened back in November. Same exact thing, pretty much in the same area, at least pretty close. And I've been watching the water levels in these areas here. You can see the brown squares, and you can see over there on the upper right-hand graph, this does fluctuate with the tide, okay? But you can see when it's fluctuating, when it goes down, it goes dry, pretty much below zero in some areas. I can't tell you the exact height in the area where the barge got stuck, but obviously it goes without saying it must have went pretty low pretty quickly, because this time the mayor is wanting answers. And here's what he is quoted as saying. The mayor of New York says this is not an acceptable situation, and it's not. People's lives they're in the hands of the people that operate this ferry, which is overseen by New York. So they're not just going to throw people on some random boat and shuttle them around Lower Manhattan on the water unless they're 100% sure it's going to be safe. This was a well thought out program before they implemented it. And what I mean by that is the ferry system was designed to take some of the stress off of public transportation in Lower Manhattan, New York, because the population is massive. You guys all know that. So they set up this ferry system, which does take some of the stress off. But before they did, they inspected everything in this area, the Coney Island area, Jamaica Bay, the Upper Bay, the Lower Bay, and there was plenty of acceptable routes that were perfectly safe, and there weren't going to be any problems. And as far as I know, this has never happened twice in less than a month. Well, this time, the mayor saying that this is not an acceptable situation, and it's not. He says, from what I know, and this is preliminary information that needs a full investigation, both of them, and he's referring about the incident that happened last month and then the one that happened last night, were based on human error. But that doesn't make them acceptable. And thank God no one was injured, and that's the thing. This is a big-time safety issue. You're not just going to throw people out there on the water inside one of these ferries unless they're safe, and they are safe, but something is happening causing these experienced captains to just run these ferries up on dry land. That doesn't make sense. So again, the mayor goes on and says, but I am demanding real answers from the contractor as to why this is happening. It makes no sense to me. These are routes that are well known, he said. And he's right. Those routes are well known. But Mr. Mayor, there are fluctuations in your water around your city, in case you're not aware of it, that are reaching levels that I've never personally seen before that are going completely dry. So when you're running ferry services in those types of environments where the water's getting so low that you can only take a tiny boat because of the weight of the boat, if it gets too heavy, it's going to go dry and not be able to work. The propeller will get stuck in the mud. That's what happened here when, in fact, the whole ferry went up on a sandbar. But the water levels are going so low that it's barely suitable for a very, very small boat, a two-person boat at that. So keep an eye on this. That's what I've been doing for the past several weeks, and it is showing me very dry moments around the city of New York where these channels are going dry. According to this right here, you can see for yourself, at nearly 4 a.m. on Thursday this morning, according to that, it was at 0 in some places. So you can barely put a little one-man kayak in there, let alone a ferry. So I don't know if that's what's going on here. This is where the ferry got stuck, down in this area here. But as you can see for yourself on the upper right-hand graph, the water at times is getting very, very low, and these are influenced by the high and low tides. So anyway, it has happened again. Yet another ferry runs up on a sandbar. People were stranded for hours and had to be rescued by the New York PD Special Ops. That's a big deal. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, be safe out there.